You were told to be quiet. You were told to shrink. You were told that love meant pain. Here you are. Here you rise. Welcome to Powerful Woman Rising from Narcissistic Abuse. The show where we break the chains of narcissistic abuse, reclaim our power, and step into the unstoppable force we were always meant to be. I'm Azadeh, best-selling author, narcissistic abuse educator, and coach to high achievers. Together, we'll uncover the truth, rewrite our stories, and ignite the power within. It's time to rise, it's time to heal, and it's time to take your life back. Welcome to another episode of Powerful Woman Rising from Narcissistic Abuse. My guest today is, wow, unbelievable transformation. This is, you're going to hear from Nova Gibson, counselor, principal, author of Fake Love. Give a shout out to welcome Nova.
Hi, Azadeh. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I have so many questions as I was binging out on your website. I have so many questions for you because you do some of your services. One of them, we're going to get to your story for a second, but I'm blown away because one of your services is my child is a narcissist.
Yes, yes. It's unbelievable the amount of clients that I have come to see me in my practice that are actually struggling with uh, normally they come to see me when it's a narcissistic adult child, but occasionally I'll have people who are really concerned that their young child is starting to exhibit the same kind of behaviors as the other narcissistic parent. And of course, this is so concerning for victims, and they want to know how to, stop that in its tracks. So yes, it's a very common concern.
Yes, I am so in so much gratitude to have found you because I also work with parents that have narcissistic children, and they're like always saying, Azadeh, where do I get the resources? Who else, if you're not available, or is there someone else, or is, and so far, knock on wood, I've been available, but I have wondered, where is the rest of my crew? And here you
Yeah.
are. Here you are. And here you are. Let's get started with your story. Tell me, let's start with, were you already a counselor when you were in your narcissistic relationship, or did that evolve after?
So I was already a counselor,
Okay.
a therapist. So I've been a counselor for many, many years, and I I was doing relationship counseling, and I was probably one of those. Well, no, I wasn't probably. I was one of those counselors who had no idea about narcissistic abuse, even though I'd studied, had a degree in behavioral science. So I'd studied Freud and Skinner and goodness, I can't even remember them all now, but I studied all of those psychological concepts, and I studied narcissists in little bits and pieces that they gave us. But it was useless to be able to pick it in your own relationship, let alone in someone else's. So, yes, I was already a therapist, and I was probably one of those therapists who was telling people the wrong thing, have you tried writing them a letter? Perhaps I can't even remember. It was so long ago. But yes, to answer your question, I was already a therapist, and I had no idea about narcissistic abuse until I experienced my own relationship, and I, like everyone else, it it was traumatizing. And I I'm I was like the clients who come to see me who are therapists. I was like, I should have known. I should have known better. I should have seen the red flags. And it doesn't matter who you are, as you know, as a dick, because this can happen to anyone. And it doesn't matter if you're a psychiatrist, a doctor, a lawyer, because it all happens under the level of awareness, that very powerful trauma bond. So yes, I had my own experience, and after I'd done the work and the research to heal my own trauma, I made it my mission to help others because there really was no help available when I was looking for it.
Absolutely. When you, that moment when you put all the dots together, kind of what happens to all of us, all of a sudden we get a vision of all the patterns. Boom, boom, boom. We do the research, then all of a sudden we get that moment of clarity, and it's like our own movie just went by us, and we see all
Yep,
of the dots and we connect them together. At that moment, what did
yep.
it look like in your life? Was she living with you? Were they, what, give us that picture.
Well, it was a relationship that I don't really talk too much about, but it was it was traumatizing because I was like any other victim in that I was trauma bonded
Yeah,
to this person.
yeah,
And I had accepted a level of, well, abuse that I had normalized and minimized. And my threshold for abuse was on the ceiling, and my threshold for respect was on the ground. And uh, when I had my light bulb moment, as I call it in my book, Fake Love, uh, it it was earth shattering for me, but at the same time, I still couldn't stay away because of that very powerful trauma bond. So I was like every other victim. I had to go through my own healing journey and really understand what had happened to me, validate my own trauma. I looked online for support groups and I watched video after video because I went out to see a psychologist and she was lovely. I did all the right things, but she just didn't get it. And I felt like I was being patronized, in that I was being told I was codependent on this person. I thought, no, I don't think that's right. I'm not codependent. This is narcissism. This is narcissistic abuse. And she really had no clue. I ended up informing her, and hence my quest to make help and support available for other victims. And now I do that with people worldwide, and I have a podcast and obviously a book. Yeah.
wow, I know. I wish and I hope one day we will have in our curriculum Narcissistic Abuse 101 as part of the curriculum.
At university.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's vital. It's essential. It should be mandatory. Um,
Yeah.
how did you as a therapist walk through the trauma bond? How did you validate, soothe yourself, get the help? Did you stop working or were you still working too?
I was, yeah, well, I had to earn a living, and I had to do what all victims
Oh,
do. I had to get through the day. I had to work, and I didn't let it impact on my job because obviously I'm a counselor, a therapist. So it's very important that I have my own my boundaries and my ability to put my own stuff to the side when I'm supporting other people. But it was hard. As a this is why, like, you and I know what people are going through. It's literally like withdrawing from a drug, and you have to go through the withdrawal, the cold turkey. And what makes it more difficult, as I talk a lot about in my book, is the fact that often the person who you're trying to withdraw from is throwing themselves back in just little bits here and there. They're throwing themselves back, they're hoovering you and staying inside your head. Unlike, a needle, if you're a heroin addict, this is a person and they don't want you to forget about them. So, yes, it's incredibly hard. And I think once you understand that it's an addiction, literally a biochemical addiction, where you become addicted to that chemical cocktail, the cortisol 1 second when you're, in fight or flight, and then the the relief when the dopamine comes back again when they're being nice to you. And that cycle is addictive. It's of course psychologically addictive, but this is why victims feel so empty when they're without their drug, which is the narcissist, and or even just the thought of being without them, because not only have they been in that place where there's this chemical roller coaster going on that they've become dependent on, and you crash when you come out. Where's my chemical cocktail? I feel empty. It must be the narcissist. I love them because I'm so empty without them. And this is because you've stepped off the roller coaster, so to speak. But it's an addiction, and you don't know it. You think you love this person. It feels like love because you can't stop ruminating about them, and you feel so empty. But what I say to my clients is that, well, I ask them, what do you think the heroin addict thinks about 24 hours a day when they're in withdrawal, when they're going cold turkey? They hate the drug. They despise it. It's destroyed their life. But they think about it 24/7 because that's the nature of addiction. But when it's a person, we think this constant rumination about them is love. But love is just a word unless it's backed up by consistent patterns of behavior over space and time that reflect all of those good things. It feels good to be with this person that you love. It's not that it feels good to be with this person, so you don't love them. It's that it feels so bad to be without them. And that's not love, that's addiction.
So good. It's so, the way you explain it is so good to understand and receive. It's not like this kind of scattered definition. It's really intentionally, word by word, defined for our viewers to really understand. Nova, what do you think about, what is your thoughts on trauma bond, parent to child, friend to friend, girlfriends, guy friends, girlfriends, guy friends, boss, and
Yeah.
how, and do you think that if you've been in one trauma bond situation, you are now the rest of your life more prone to that type, no matter how much healing you get?
Okay, such good questions. Well, firstly, the trauma bond develops from a set of behaviors, actions from the abuser. They provide you with that environment that makes you feel so good. The dopamine's all flowing. They're all the receptors are all being hit at once. The oxytocin's flowing. It feels so good in the beginning. And then they proceed to rip that away from you. And instantly, practically, they have replaced that behavior with something that's confusing. This doesn't feel good. Where are all my happy hormones? Where's my dopamine gone? I want it back. I want that prince or princess back. And so begins the cycle. You try and fix what's wrong. You try and adjust your level of respect and accept the abuse. You start settling for the breadcrumbs of the nice person, which is like the heroin dealer blowing a few grains of heroin your way when you're in total withdrawal and it's so painful just to take the edge off, and you'll crawl along on your hands and knees to get those breadcrumbs. And that's where it's exactly the same principle. That's where you get to with the narcissist because of this cycle of rock bottom lows and perceived highs in the end. Big highs in the beginning, but they're only perceived highs in the end because what you settle for just to take the edge off is just a day they're not abusing you. And this can be gold to a victim and just a normal day in a healthy relationship. But so if you've got someone engaging, and that's just a very simplified version, but if you've got someone engaging in that cycle where you've got rock bottom lows, perceived highs, and they wound you, then they heal the wound, then they wound you, then they heal the wound. And on top of that, they become the only one who can heal the wound that they created. So this is why people go back to their abuser. This is why they stay, not because there's anything wrong with a domestic violence victim's intelligence. They're not weak because of this cycle. So this cycle can happen in any type of relationship where you go to this person for your relief. To any drug addict will tell you that you are forever chasing that initial euphoric high, but it's never again obtainable. It gets to the point where you just need the drug to feel normal.
Yes.
And it's the same principle. You want that love bombing stage back again because it felt euphoric, but it's gone. And that's because that person never existed. That was a manipulative tactic to hook you in. And of course, once you're hooked, they don't have to pretend anymore, but they can't be abusive 24 hours a day
Yeah.
because then it would be easy to leave. They've got to remind you about that person who doesn't exist so that you'll be forever trying to get that euphoric feeling back again. So, yes, a trauma bond can form in any sort of relationship if those conditions exist.
Oh, Nova. It's so, to to this day, after all the work I've done, our conversation, the podcast, the research, I still get blown away that we can be so highly controlled by the addiction of our own abuser. So
Yeah.
controlled like master and puppet. They become the master.
Yeah.
And it's
But
just,
it can happen to anyone because you don't know that it's happening. It's as I explain in my book, if it were alcohol or heroin or a gambling addiction, you could say to yourself, well, I did pick up that first drink knowing it was bad for me and the potential outcome, but you didn't choose this. You fell in love or you grew to have this amazing relationship with this person they pretended to be. So you were duped. You didn't choose an addiction. It's like someone injects you with a drug every night while you're asleep, and all of a sudden you can't understand why down the track you're craving this drug. You didn't choose it, and it's so insidious,
Mhm.
the strategies they use to get you addicted. You don't know that it's happening until it's too late. It's like that frog in the
yes.
in the water where they slowly increase the temperature, and the frog doesn't know until the water's boiling, and then it's too late.
Yes, I love that analogy. It's like a glove. It fits like a glove to the narcissist. Do you think, Nova, for someone that has had parents that are narcissists, that because it's the most lethal, right? Because of that original relational template that's laid in us,
Yeah.
do you believe that having a narcissistic parent, you will always have that tendency? You will and the story usually is that you probably have attracted multiple before you start seeing the patterns. I mean, what is your take as an adult being raised by a narcissist parent?
Yes. Well, if you've been raised by a narcissistic parent, then you've been abused
Yeah.
because everyone is an object to the narcissist. It's irrelevant whether you're their child. You are there to meet their needs. And yes, it's not absolute, but it is so common for victims of childhood abuse, being someone who's been raised by a narcissist, to find themselves in a relationship that mirrors that of their narcissistic parent for a number of reasons. It's normally the scapegoat child because, unfortunately, once again, not absolute, it's normally the golden child who will, if it's going to happen, turn out to be a narcissistic, just like their their parent. They've been rewarded for bad behavior their whole life, and they there's no rules, no boundaries, and anyway, it's normally the golden child who will go in that direction. So what that means, it's normally the scapegoat child who will find themselves with someone who mirrors that toxic caregiver because it's familiar. This is what they know. Healthy relationships, like, what do you do in them? That's what's foreign. It seems weird to have someone that's allowing you to have needs and is not pushing you away and pulling you back and pushing you away and pulling you back. It's healthy, and that is foreign. So it's not that they seek out toxic people. They don't go, oh, okay, there's a there's a narcissist. I'm going to make a beeline for that person. I think it's more that they bypass healthy relationships without even knowing it. They'll find something wrong. Their their nose is too big, or they're not funny enough, or they're too short, they're too
Yeah.
fat. They'll just find something wrong when really what their subconscious is screaming at them is this person isn't toxic.
Yes, so true. I think about my own relationship, my own marriage, and we just celebrated 15 years of marriage. And I remember the first year picking him apart constantly because he's not a narcissist. And I
Yeah.
it's so true. Thinking actually thinking healthy is toxic and toxic is healthy is really what's
Yeah.
going on here.
It's so normal because you're used to chasing the scraps that and thinking these scraps are so amazing from, the breadcrumbs from the toxic parent. And the other thing is that because you're used to walking on eggshells all the time, you're used to being under attack and hyper vigilant to danger. When you're in a potentially healthy relationship, it can appear boring.
Yeah.
And victims do. They'll say to me, I just find those people boring. They're used to the fight and having to please someone else, never have any needs of their own, and they find healthy relationships boring. And that takes a lot of support to redefine what is a loving relationship and what they deserve.
Yes, it's really a reclaiming, redefining your inner world, and that is a big job, but it's also so sweet and worth it. It's
Yes.
so sweet when you start craving alone time, craving kindness, craving empathy and the beautiful things in a relationship. Um, what would you say to being a woman, and I'm a woman, what would you say? And this is to be transparent, this is somewhat for me too. What would you say, and our viewers, to a woman that um, wants to be in girlfriend relationships, but seems to find herself, myself, and it's not just me, it's common in girlfriend dynamics, relationships where now there's some sort of a power struggle, and now there's becomes one-sided, and now um it feels like that whole trauma bond thing where there's internal pain until they call or text or a breadcrumb of validation or some.
Yeah.
What would you say to that woman that has had more towards that kind of a dynamic versus calm, sweet, loving? What would your thoughts be on that?
Okay, so we're talking about friendships with our girl circle. Okay, so unfortunately, when you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, particularly you've been raised by a narcissist, then you're going to find that you're surrounded by other people who don't want you to have any boundaries and find you because you don't have any boundaries. They can walk all over you and use you. And in other words, you're a people pleaser. And I hate that word, but you're
Mhm.
not allowed to have boundaries when you've been raised by a narcissist. Boundaries are selfish.
Yeah.
It always has to be about someone else. So pe people who use others, bullies, they're going to find you because if someone's strong and assertive and is totally comfortable in going yes when they want to say yes and no when they want to say no, then they're going to abandon that person because they can't use them. So they're testing you all the time when they're searching out new victims or new friends for that group or new followers. And when you pass the test, then you're allowed to be their friend. So once again, it's about seeking without knowing it relationships that are familiar, and these people are looking for people that they can use. I often say to my clients that if you've got one narcissist in your life, then it's like, do you have cockroaches in the US?
Yes.
You do? Oh, sorry. I thought I'd just check. Do you have toads?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you got toads as well. Okay. So this is as much as I know.
Yeah.
So it's like having when you see one cockroach or if you see one mouse, there's never just one. There's a whole
Oh,
family just waiting to come in as soon as you turn those lights off at night time. There is never just one. And that's not because there is anything wrong with you. That you're not this person who's so deficit and there's something so broken in you that you're only ever going to have these people in your life. That's all you're worth. That this is as good as it gets. No, this is because of your previous trauma. And you're going to find yourself in these similar relationships where you don't get your needs met, you don't expect to have any needs, and you're used to getting used. It feels normal. So once again, the trauma bond can develop, and this person who is using you is they know that you have no boundaries with them, and they seek out people who have no boundaries because someone with boundaries they wouldn't be able to manipulate.
yeah, exactly. No, you're right. I can feel it with my clients coming on. I can feel their energy and what and 90% of the time zone in what they're feeling. Is it fear, insecurity? Is it lacking boundaries? What is it? I can, so if I can pick up on it and they're looking for it, they're gonna
Yeah.
find it. They're gonna find it. You're absolutely right. I love that cockroach analogy. It's really good. It's really good. I'm gonna have to borrow that. Don't worry, I'll put your name next to it. I'll put your
There's
name next to it.
never just one because this is the type of person you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
So this is it, you wouldn't feel comfortable, and that sounds really weird, but it would feel uncomfortable being with or boring with a healthy group of friends. So yeah, it's very, very common to find yourself surrounded by these people you think are friends who are taking advantage of you. Um, and your circle, once you start healing and you look around your circle and find all these people that really aren't your friends, that the love is not unconditional. Your circle gets much smaller, but the people who are left, even if it's just one or two
Yep.
people you can really trust implicitly, you know uh, that you can trust them and that there's not all these people that are just sucking you dry.
Yes. Yes. And to do that, we have to step back from the dynamic and the tribe or that girlfriend or guy friend to take a step back because when we're in it, we can't really, it's harder to see than when we step back. When we take a step back,
Yeah.
look, it's much harder.
I think the thing is, Azadeh, that it's really hard for victims who've grown up with this. This is just so familiar to them. It's really hard for them to wrap their head around the fact that relationships are not supposed to be confusing. You're not supposed to be confused. Uh, or trying to understand what they mean because you don't think you did anything wrong when they're, having a go at you. You know, you're not supposed to Google someone's behavior. If you're Googling your loved one's behavior, that's the biggest red flag you'll ever get because we don't tend to Google the behavior of someone we feel comfortable and relaxed with. In other words, healthy relationships.
Yeah, you're so right. It's a it's a sign right there if you're researching this relationship and caught stuck in rumination. Here's a question for you that I can't wait to hear what you have to say. How can you tell, Nova, when someone is either A, completely has grown out of the relationship, just a relationship that they've evolved out of, or like they don't have anything else in common, or if it's a relationship and that relationship they're actually grieving because of a loss, or if it's a trauma bond. How can you tell if it's a trauma bond versus grieving a relationship?
Oh, yeah. There's going to be the victim will know that, well, if they know about trauma bonding, they'll know because it feels like you're withdrawing from a drug. It is not a normal relationship breakup. Uh, most relationships, even when there were, I mean, you're breaking up for a reason. So obviously there were problems. But when two individuals make the decision, there's no personality disorders going on, and they make that decision to separate. Well, if they've got a normal range of emotions, then there's going to be a time of grieving and loss. That's about giving yourself closure. That's really normal. Most people will, feel a sense of loss when, a long-term relationship ends, but a trauma bond, that is excruciating. You ruminate about this person like, as I said earlier, the drug addict ruminates about them. Your head is filled with thoughts of them being with someone else, and maybe they'll change for that person. Maybe that person will get the good person you got in the beginning, because after all, the narcissist said it was your fault. So what if this next person isn't messed up? like you are. Maybe the good part of the narcissist will remain for them. And this is the addicted brain
Mhm.
uh, trying to get the the drug back, and also in withdrawal and craving an end to that withdrawal. So they're ruminating about the drug, ruminating about the narcissist, thinking I'm never going to get that feeling again. And that person's going to get it. So there's a big difference when you're grieving, going through a normal grieving process at the end of a relationship. It is nothing like the withdrawal, which you will experience when you are trauma bonded to your abuser. There's a big difference.
Yes. And that's so important because they're both emotional, but the trauma bond is, like you said, it's very difficult to even. I remember I couldn't even really take care of myself. Just a shower was a big decision.
Yeah,
Just to self-care, eat or eat too much or drink. I mean,
yeah,
it's I remember myself as a 23 years sober of a drug addict. I wanted the abuser over the drugs. And I was a drug addict at that time. Um,
yeah.
so Nova, when you are in your practice helping victims, when you are teaching, when you're teaching them and helping them see the patterns from love bomb to Hoover, discard, all of it, whatever stage they're in, when you're helping them, how how do you help them? Are you educating as at the same time as you are walking through? Share with us a little bit about, if we may, hear about how you help them with this dynamic.
Are you referring to the trauma bond and trying to understand it and stay away?
Yeah, or if they come to you right smack in the middle of a trauma bond, how do you navigate them out? How do you assist that healing? How do you walk
Yeah,
them through the stages they're in the trauma bond?
yeah. Well, it's it's so difficult for this person in front of you. You can't just give them information and not and think that they're going to go away and go, oh, okay, now I'll just stay away because I know.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
you once you know what they're well, you're pretty sure about what they're experiencing. First of all, it starts off with educating them about trauma bonding. You're not crazy. You go back for a reason. You can't stay if you leave and you go back or you stay because you just can't see yourself leaving. You're not crazy. And victims have this like, oh my goodness, I thought I was crazy. That's why I stayed. So it's like this aha moment, but at the same time, it's like, well, what do I do? Because now I know how toxic this person is. I know what happened to me, but I still can't stop thinking about them.
Yep.
So it's a journey. And so we talk about, self-care. We talk about looking at it in every sense of the word as an addiction. So you wouldn't and I keep bringing it back to the heroin addict. It has to be the number one commitment in your life.
Yep.
Your life virtually depends on it. You wouldn't expect someone who it has been, a long-term heroin addict to just throw all their stuff away and just sit around at home by themselves and go, yeah, I've just got to get through it. It'll happen. I'll get there. And their job's still number one, and everything else is above it, and they don't get any support. They're not going to do that if they're serious because they're just too vulnerable and it is hard. You're going to go through withdrawal, and you're going to have cravings. So this is what we talk about. We talk about cravings because they're all empowered to begin with. I've got all this knowledge. I'm going to do this. I'm all empowered. And then they have their bad days. So we talk about preparing for the bad days. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
And a bad day is going to be a day when a craving is, I just want to unblock them. I just want to see what their new target looks like. I just want to drive by their work. That is a craving. Your brain wants that hit, the fix.
Yep.
And so what do? We minimize how bad the drug is to get it back. And, like excuse me, like a drug addict would say, it wasn't that bad. Everyone's got a vice.
Yeah.
That's the brain trying to get rid of the horrible withdrawal pains and get the dopamine flowing again. And it's the same thing. So you have to prepare, we've got to treat this like an addiction. Surround yourself with the people that you trust and you love. I talk to people about, once they understand the trauma bond, about how important no contact is.
Mm.
If you're withdrawing from heroin, you can, what do they take? Oh, I can't think of the name of it, but you can come off it gradually. You can wean yourself off it, I believe. But you can't do that with the narcissist. It's no contact, because every little bit of contact, and that means having a sneak peek on their Instagram, is like the drug addict putting the needle back in their arm. And minimal contact, grey rock, if you share children or work with them, etc. I talk to them about getting like the equivalent of someone who's in AA, someone who's an
Yeah.
alcoholic. Get yourself a sponsor in terms of, a best friend or a loved one, where when you have that craving, which is to see if they've called by blocking them on your phone.
Yeah. Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you call them back. That doesn't matter, because victims feel empowered when they ignore the call. That's still contact. It's
Yeah.
about not seeing their name to be triggered on your phone, so they've got to be blocked. But get yourself a sponsor, the best friend, and whenever you feel like, oh, I'm going to unblock them, you call your sponsor, and like an alcoholic would when they feel like they're going to pick up. You've got to cut that craving off as soon as possible, because we all know once it builds and builds and builds and builds, it's out of control. And the only thing that will get rid of the craving is to pick up. And with the narcissist, that means calling them, unblocking them, etc.
Yeah, stalking. And thank you for this so much. I get so many people that want that quick fix. And it's not that quick fix. There's stages. It's a process. It doesn't I'm not going to give you a magic word that's going to end it. It
No,
doesn't.
it has to be. Sometimes I think I'm probably a bit scary for some people when I say to them, this has got to be the number one commitment in your life. But when I'm saying it to them, I'm also saying to them that I I want to be your reality check. I don't want to give you information that you want to hear. I want to give you the information that I think will help you, as painful as that is to hear. And it's tough, you know, especially it's going to be the hardest thing they've ever done. That's why I say
Yes.
you've got to treat this as your number one commitment in life. It has to come above everything else. And victims will tell you, as you know, that they'll get rid of all the photos and anything that reminds them, but
Yep.
just blocking them or just cutting off that one last thing is so, so hard. So, when it's that difficult, and it can be for many people, we talk about having like a quit date, if you will, like you would if you smoke cigarettes. You go, okay, I know that blocking them, doing that one last thing, which represents the end, that's huge. So think of a date, and I want you to build up towards that quit date when you do that, you cut that final string, which is attaching you or keeping you chained, if you will, to your abuser. And that is who this person is. And that's also another thing I do, which is I get them to stop calling them by their first name. I want them to depersonalize them.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
Many
mm.
people will come up with some pretty amazing nicknames for them, but I want them to call them whatever they want to call them, but I want them to call them my abuser.
I love that.
Depersonalize them. My abuser did this. My abuser did that. Um, it just helps them to think of this person uh, for who they really are, which is someone who abused them, because victims will cling on to those breadcrumbs and dismiss all the mountains of abuse. And that is what the addicted brain does. It's it's a really weird concept to kind of wrap your head around, but our brains are not wired for happiness. So it's really weird when you think about that, because you think, well, no wonder I get in abusive relationships if my brain's not wired for happiness. But it's not. Our brain's number one job is survival, keeping us alive, keeping the right chemicals pumping so that we live, we survive. So when you're in withdrawal and there's all the horrible feelings and you feel bad, the brain wants to get rid of that. It wants to bring you back to a place of equilibrium. So how does it get rid of all that horrible feeling, all the horrible chemicals running through your body? It's got to dismiss the mountains of abuse. And that's why we call it cognitive dissonance. You only, or you focus on the breadcrumbs because they feel better. That's why it feels so good when they come back after giving you the silent treatment for 2 weeks and they're totally unaccountable, and you're just so relieved that the silent treatment, which is torturous, has ended, that you don't dare broach the subject that made them take off in the beginning. In other words, you don't bother trying to make them accountable again, because you are just so relieved that the abuse has ended, and you
Yes,
feel
so, so vividly accurate. It is. I know. I lived it. I mean, you're just bringing me back to my own personal memories of I'm not even gonna rock the boat. I'm not gonna say a thing. I'm not rehashing shit. I feel I feel great, and that's what I want. I want to stay here. I don't want
yeah,
to go. I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to stay.
yeah.
So
So this is how the addiction, the trauma bond forms, because and it happens insidiously over time. You don't know it's happening because they're abusing you and they're just slowly conditioning you to override the red flags and tolerate their abuse because of, number one, how bad it feels, and number two, how good it feels when it ends.
so I mean it's so good. It's so good. And and accurate and vivid, and I'm so grateful that you're here. The world, I wish there was more Novas, because I have come across people that are not, they don't understand it very well. They think, an unhealthy person is a narcissist just because they're not doing what they want, or, a lot of
Yeah.
still maybe toxic or unhealthy, but these are the accurate, pivotal points of what the victim is literally going through, the conditioning, the grooming in the early stages, to ultimately in the end to take the abuse.
Yeah.
take it, to take it.
Yeah.
Nova, do you ever get clients? Let me put it on me. I get a lot of clients that are just crying during our session the whole time, just the whole time, because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and it's okay. I'm going
Yeah.
somewhere with this, and they are truly, they're honored the no contact, and now they're flooding big time, like can't function as we know, and it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. I often have them go through almost to get to the other side, and then they go back,
Yeah.
and then they
Yeah.
go back, and they go. I mean, they've had that long stretch of no contact. We've walked, processed, validated, healed, reclaimed the wounds, and they're just about to enter the next level of healing, if you will,
Yeah.
and they go back. They go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. And I mean, we're not magicians, as a Dan. We can only do so much. But you know, you think about it. Uh, if you go to rehab,
Yeah,
if you're a drug addict, you go there and you get clean, and you I don't know, for 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is, you experience this new, amazing, healthy lifestyle. You're so happy, you're empowered. You're free. You went through all the horrible withdrawal with lots of support, and then you go back to exactly the same environment where maybe you're surrounded by all your drug buddies and your drug dealers on speed dial, and it's just a matter of time.
yeah,
So it's not good enough to just I guess get the knowledge and get support. You've also got to change your environment. Uh, and that means no contact. So often that will happen. People will go back, not always, but people will go back because for some reason they got a taste of the drug. In other words, the narcissist hoovered them, and they're sneaky. They'll just happen to show up at their local shops, even though they live 30 k's away. Um, and or they'll call, the narcissist will call, oh, I remember I left my toothbrush at your house. So I was wondering if I could maybe you stop around Friday night, maybe bring a bottle of wine with me. It's so important to block them everywhere, because once the brain has a taste of the drug, it's like having one cigarette. But if you're a cigarette smoker and you think, I'm all over this, I haven't had a cigarette in 6 months, I can have one. So you have one, and you mightn't even think about it, but then a couple of weeks later, it's a different story. You're next to that person at work who's having a cigarette, and you're like, I really want one. I really, really want one. Give me one. And the reason that happens is because your brain was reminded about the substance that gave you a dopamine hit. It would be it would be exactly the same for a gambler
yeah,
if they were in a pokey room or something, and they had one little hit on the pokies. Um, the brain is getting a taste again. You've rid yourself of the toxins, and then just a little taste it's got, and it's just a matter of time before it craves that drug back again. So there are going to be situations you can't control. I mean, you could go on
Yeah.
holidays in Zimbabwe or I don't know, somewhere on the other side of the world and run into the narcissist. You can't guarantee, but this is what I mean about preparing
Mm.
for times like that. People will ask me, what do I do if I run into them, especially if they're in a small town? Well, you don't owe them good manners. So you don't have to say hello. My advice, turn around, drop the groceries in aisle three and get the hell out of there because of the addiction and the fact that the narcissist will attempt to regain control of you. You don't owe them good manners. And people go, yeah, but they'll tell everyone that I was rude. And what I always say to that is they're smearing you no matter what you do. You can be kind and well-mannered and they'll say, ugh, she thought she could get back with me. She was like being so sick and sickening and sweet. If you turn around and walk the other way, they'll say, yeah, she didn't have the guts to talk to me. If you ignore them, uh, that's why I left. So rude. It doesn't matter what you do, they're going to smear you. So get the hell out of Dodge. Um, but yeah, getting back to the hoovering, meaning to suck you back in, it's about knowledge and preparing for those times because it'll set you back. It's not the end. That's what I don't want people to think. They think, oh, I've got to start this all over again. I can't go through it again. I may as well just stay because the withdrawal was worse than the abuse. It's not. It's just that they're addicted again to that cycle. It's not the end. It's a glitch if you go back. Get back on the horse, get your support again, and start again. This is not easy, and it's not a substance that you're withdrawing from. It's a person, and you've got these images of the fake person still in your head. And so if they remind you of that person, then it's going to cause problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I no, I lived this one too. I mean, I've lived all the scenarios, and it's just I can say that, or would you be in agreement that after you've left the narcissist and you've done the healing and the work
Yeah.
and you've done the preparing and planning, you absolutely can when you see them walk away because now you're not thrown in the wilderness naked. Seriously,
Yeah.
because I did run into my narcissist after a long time later. I almost
Yeah.
fell to the ground because my knee started to shake, but I continued to walk away because I had everything you just said in place. And it's
Yeah.
so important. It's so, so, so important. And I think sometimes people minimize the power of the trauma bond. They minimize it. They think they can handle it. They think it's over. They think it's not that bad. Minimize it, and then bam. I mean, I've had clients that even friends have gone back after 2 years of no
Yeah.
contact, broke it themselves, broke it
Yeah.
themselves, not even the
Well,
narcissist.
it's not just a matter of even going through all of those things, changing your environment. It's
Mhm.
also a matter of replacing
Mm.
that addiction with something else that's positive, healthy, because the narcissist ensures that your entire existence revolves around them. So when that's gone, that thing, that drug, that person that defined who you are, that permeated every part of your life, when that is gone, that's why you feel so flat, so empty. So that's where people think, I love them. I feel so bad without them, because that roller coaster is gone, and they feel just that they crash. They just literally crash. So you have to replace that with your self-care, with your new passions in life, with just looking after yourself, finding a new healthy uh, addiction, time passing, to fill that emptiness. That's a lot of the reason why people go back, because they they don't understand that that big hole they feel, that void, uh, has to now be filled.
Yes, so good, so golden. It's not, must evolve in the no contact. It can't just be no contact, there must be so much more. That's just the beginning. And I agree
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Do you ever get narcissists that come to you?
No.
No?
Um, well, look, I'm not going to say no, actually, because I've been doing it a long time, and who knows? There's been, quite a few people that only came, excuse me, once. And narcissists are manipulative, and who knows? There may have been one, but not. I don't treat people who are narcissists, but I don't know if one has crossed my path who was putting on a really good show.
Yeah.
Normally, I'll pick up on it pretty quickly, but I mean, if someone is only showing you uh, one side for that period of time, then you're you're no different to anyone else. I think it's different when I was doing many, many years ago relationship counseling. Then you could pick up on it, because you could see the dynamic. That when I understood what narcissistic abuse was, you could see the dynamic in the couple. But on their own, I may have. I believe that I would pick it up pretty quickly, but I'm not going to guarantee that one hasn't crossed my path. That would
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be just something that I can't guarantee. Yeah.
Yeah, what's your personal opinion and theory on narcissists actually getting help? We hear so much, no, nada, not gonna happen.
Well,
And some say if it's low on the spectrum, they might.
well, it depends what your version of help is, and what your version of a good outcome is. My personal opinion is they're not going to change into someone that you're going to have a healthy relationship with, because they don't have empathy. So th- they don't they don't love. It's all about them. If My opinion, if a narcissist is being helped, as some therapists might say, what they're probably talking about is that um, they're helping this person to develop cognitive empathy, in that you can't make someone feel something they don't feel. This is a disorder. But you can uh, help them, you can teach them the skills to understand how you should feel, how you should act. Um, and that's even, and that's so that they can, I guess, interact in society,
Oh,
to be taught that cognitive empathy. But you think about it, Azadeh,
yeah.
what this is where the research around that I find really curious, because you think about it. What narcissist, unless they're in prison, so they're like apples in a barrel, they can't go anywhere, what narcissist is going to stick around for therapy? It would take years of therapy and really committed engagement. What narcissist is going to stick around for long-term therapy with this person who's saying to them, there is something wrong with you, and we're going to work on fixing it? What narcissist is going to go to therapy? They don't believe there's anything wrong with themselves. They're not going to walk in a therapist's office and go, hey, I need help with my
Right.
narcissism. That's the victim who's going to go to therapy and think I think I might be a narcissist because of the reactive abuse and because the true abuse that has conditioned them. So when those therapists are talking about change, I think they're talking about, teaching them how to live in society with cognitive empathy. And that is not someone whom you can have a healthy relationship with. And I think when victims who are so trauma bonded, looking for any type of hope that the abuser will change, reading things like that can be really destructive. So it
Yes.
has to be, when they say they can change, it has to be put in context.
You're so right about how it can be so destructive because it gives them the false hope, gives the
Yeah.
victim false
Victims want to not think, oh, I can, you mean I can get my Prince Charming back or my princess back? Oh, wonderful. And they stay and they keep settling for the breadcrumbs.
Yes, it's so true. It's so, so true. Yeah, and that is an approach, a realistic cognitive empathy. I've heard it in research. I've seen videos of therapists teaching them, cognitive therapy. I've actually seen it. So I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Nova, tell us a little bit about fake love. Let's look at this. Tell us about the chapters. Tell us how you got inspired to write it.
Uh, okay, so Fake Love, I had been wanting to write it, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from
Yeah.
Narcissistic Abuse, for such a long time. And it was really, it just, I don't know, just 3 years ago, I went, I'm not putting this off anymore. And it was, it was like getting yourself to start a university assignment to begin with. You put it off and you put it off. But once I started, it was just getting myself to write. I couldn't stop. And I literally wrote it in a few weeks. And it it was the outcome of years and years of talking to thousands of victims. So all of their experiences were wrapped up in the person I talk about in my book. Of course, I could relate to them through my own
Mm,
experience. And I say in the beginning of the book that not only am I a therapist, but I'm also a fellow victim and survivor.
yeah.
So the book is available, Fake Love, online, Audible, Kindle, and it's also available worldwide in paperback. You can get it at any bookstore pretty much. But yes, I explain the relationship through the lens of one woman, and I explain that narcissistic abuse is not gender specific, so you can
Right.
swap her experience if you're a man. And I provide her story in little snippets through the book, but and then I analyze it, if you will. I explain that this was gaslighting. This was love bombing. This was a narcissistic parent. She was the child of a narcissistic person. She found herself with this narcissist because of this and exactly what we were talking about today. So I take you through all of the steps. I've got a chapter devoted to male victims. It's for victims of any type of narcissistic relationship, a parent, an intimate partner, a friend, and I provide you with all the tools to not only validate your trauma, but to escape and
Mm.
to heal. I provide not wishy-washy ones, but 13 concrete strategies to help you go through them, to escape and to heal. So yes, and I go into a lot of detail about the trauma bond and how you have to really make it the number one commitment in your life and how it happens and how to break it.
Yes. I really love so much that you speak to the male victims
Yeah,
and to parents with children, because those are the ones we don't see that much.
yeah,
We just don't see it that much. And it's on Audible. That's really cool. So you could listen to it
yeah,
in a
yeah.
car.
The Audible's fantastic. I wanted to do it, but because it was going global, they said that my accent was too Aussie. So so they got a someone, oh, she is amazing. She's an Australian actress, singer.
Oh,
And yeah, she wanted to do it. So Rachel Tidd, she is the narrator, and I could not have picked anyone better. It's fabulous, the Audible.
oh, wow. They actually can tell you, hey, the accent is stronger than we like. Let's find someone else. That's how it works.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Well, it was picked up by HarperCollins in the UK and the US and Canada, as well as New Zealand and Australia. Probably more, but they're the ones, the main ones. So yeah, they find people who have what they call a transatlantic accent, which they told me is a cross between a US accent
Mm.
and a British accent. So
Oh,
yeah, that's what they call it, a transatlantic accent. So yeah, I'm so glad that she did it. It's fabulous.
okay. I,
Yeah,
yeah, Audible is really cool. It's really well for such a busy life we all lead, right?
yeah,
Such a
yeah. And
busy
people
life.
are into, I've got my podcast, so people are into podcasts and putting things in their ears and listening to books and podcasts while they're on the treadmill or,
Yes.
cooking, whatever. It's so easy. And then a lot of people will get the Audible and then they'll go and buy the paperback because they enjoyed it so much they want something to put markers on and mark the pages and yeah, no, it's become very popular.
Yeah, I love the name Fake Love. It's so profound. Nova, so how I will put in the show notes your links. Would you share with us how do we get a hold of you? How are you taking new clients? Are you not? What are you working on now? Whatever you want to leave us with. And
Yeah.
also one more thing. Please, I have so many viewers and clients that are co-parenting. They would love a shout out. What would,
Yeah, look, I'm definitely taking on new clients. So if you're listening and you'd like to book a one-on-one Zoom counseling session, all my sessions are online. Most of my clients are in the US. So I would love to be able to support you. I'm definitely taking on new clients. Well, you'll put the links in, but my service is called Brighter Outlook Counseling Service, or Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counseling Service. So just look on the website and you can email me from there. And also, I have my podcast, Fake Love and Flying Monkeys, which you can find wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, just as Nova Gibson.
Oh,
Oh, Instagram, I think it's Nova's Narcissist Abuse Recovery.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you on so many levels for being here. Thank you for your healing, your wisdom, and what you do for the victims of narcissistic
Oh,
abuse.
look, it's been my absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed talking to you so much, Azadeh, and yeah, loved our discussion, and more than happy to come back
Yeah.
and chat again. So no, thank you for inviting me. It's been wonderful. I've had a great time and really, really enjoyed our discussion.
Oh, me too. It just sets my soul on fire. I do want you back, and I'm not sure when, but I want you back for Flying Monkeys. I don't think I haven't talked about that, and I'm gonna have you talk. I would like to invite you to come and talk about Flying Monkeys.
Sure. Well, yeah, that's the name of my podcast. My name
Exactly.
of my podcast is Fake Love and
Yeah,
Flying Monkeys.
exactly. I mean,
So
so much.
that's how important flying monkeys are. I named my podcast after them. So I'd love to do that.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's so much we can unpack in this dynamic, which
Yeah.
I love. I love all of it, all of it. But Flying Monkeys, yes, I will have you back. I will email you and let's talk about flying monkeys because I see them in recovery circles, on social media masterminds, on tribes. I see in families. I see them all the time. It's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild. So, anyways, yes, we'll have you back, everybody. So keep an eye out for Nova's Flying Monkeys next, but this one I will post very soon, actually. So thank you
My
so much.
pleasure.
Wonderful
Okay.
having
Thanks, Azadeh.
you. Are so welcome. Take care.